Swarovski. Chapter 1. The Men from TV. I don't remember myself as an infant. My memories begin from the time I'm 4, maybe 3. I remember the silhouettes bending over me, or maybe I just think I do. I remember my grandma. She died when I was 5, which must mean I have memories from when I was younger. Babushka would make fun of me and slap my hand and then laugh. She wasn't always all there. She was sick. When madness came over her, she would get shy and searching. She thought she was living with strangers and would become eager to make us like her. When she regained her senses, she'd turn back into the woman who had for many years been and remained the head of the household. She was accustomed to being obeyed and demanded obedience. I was sick all the time. I'd always get colds. I rarely went out. In my memory, it's always twilight. A new building was slowly rising up in front of our windows, rising to block out the light. In the right corner of the room we lived in, there was a piano for me to grow into. Mama hoped I would one day learn how to play. In the left corner, there was the television. It worked, but the picture was fuzzy, shot through with static, making it look black and white. The television was huge, or it seemed huge to me, with a bulging silver-gray screen made of thick glass. Dust adored it. I would pull up a chair, climb onto it, and brush the screen with my fingers. It felt like touching a moth's wings, ever so gently. Mama would say, "That's the static." I waited for evening for my allotted pleasure. That's when "Good Night, Little Ones" would come on. The puppets, a piglet named Hrusha and a bunny named Stepashka, would talk to each other, and then they would play a cartoon. I loved the hand-drawn animations, but sometimes they would be stop-motion instead, clay or just dolls. Those seemed like a sad waste of the magic of television. I could play with dolls all by myself. I noticed that Mama turned on the TV before it was time for good night. She would come home from work, hang up her trench coat, and sit down on the couch, still in her shoes. She'd wait a few minutes for her feet to settle, and then she'd get up and plod over to the TV to turn it on. It would be a show about grown-ups or news. I hated the news and didn't understand how anybody could voluntarily watch it. The pictures that broke through the grainy broadcast were mystifying. People yelled, went places. There were identical anchors with identical intonations. I couldn't understand what they said. Mama watched them in silence. She was so tired. Little by little, I was figuring out what was going on. One day, Mama told me our country used to be called the USSR, but now it was Russia. It had been better in the USSR. There was a lot of food. People were kind to each other. Now things were different. Later, I learned that Mama had been a chemist, but the institute where she had worked no longer paid money, so she became a cleaning woman and teacher and also washed diapers in my preschool. In the 1990s, during the era of privatization and economic reforms, enterprises stopped paying employees their salaries, systematically on a massive scale. In 1996, 49.3% of workers in Central Russia weren't paid. Elsewhere, this number went up to 69%. At the same time, there was catastrophic inflation. Just in 1992, prices increased by a factor of 26. This was why she was so tired and didn't play with me and didn't hug me as much as I wanted. I asked her whose fault it was that the USSR had turned into Russia. Mama said, "Yeltsin." "Who's Yeltsin?" "The president." "What is the president?" "The most important person in the country." Mama pointed him out to me on the news. The most important person in our country was ugly and old, with a giant head. I didn't understand what he was saying. He mumbled, just like my grandma did.